Hi, this is Jonathan and welcome to my video demonstration on how to terminate and test a UTP cable. First of all, let's see what are the devices that we will be using. This is a wire stripper. We use this to remove the insulation from wire so that we can untwist the pair of wires inside and crimp those to the Rj45 connector. Typically, it comes with a variety of notches for different wire gauges. Then we have the wire cutter, which we will use to snip or cut wires, or the ripcord and a star-shaped central filler of the Cat6 UTP cable. We use this crimping tool to attach the connectors to the wires such as Rj45 for Ethernet and Rj11 for telephone cables. Next is the cable tester. We use this to check if we correctly terminate the cable. The cable that we will be using is a Cat6 cable. As we mentioned in our previous discussion, Category 6 have the following characteristics. Its bandwidth capacity is 1 Gbps at 250 MHz. It is manufactured with higher standard than Cat5e to allow for higher data transfer rates. It has more twists per foot than Cat5e to prevent EMI and RFI from outside sources. It may have a plastic divider to separate pairs of wires inside the cable to better prevent EMI and RFI. It is a good choice for customers using applications that require large amounts of bandwidth, such as video conferencing or gaming. And Cat6a has better insulation and performance than Cat6. This cable is used for indoor and outdoor applications, low temperature conditions. Fixed installations, high bandwidth digital applications with low BER or the bit error rate. Next we have the Rj45 connector. Rj45 is a type of connector commonly used for Ethernet networking. It looks similar to a telephone jack but is slightly wider. Since Ethernet cables have an Rj45 connector on each end, Ethernet cables are sometimes also called Rj45 cables. The RJ in Rj45 stands for registered jack, since it is a standardized networking interface. The 45 simply refers to the number of the interface standard. Each Rj45 connector has 8 pins, which means an Rj45 contains 8 separate wires. If you look closely at the end of an Ethernet cable, you can actually see the 8 wires, which are each a different color. 4 of them are solid colors, while the other 4 are striped. So let's get started. I have here a Cat6 UTP cable. As you can see, one end of the cable has an Rj45 connector already connected. For this video demonstration, we will just terminate one end of the cable. First thing that we need to do is to strip the outer jacket of the cable in order to expose the 4 pair wires inside. We will have at least 1.5 or 2 inches allowance to strip the outer jacket. We will be using a wire stripper. We will just put the cable inside the groove of the stripper and then turn the stripper either clockwise or counterclockwise, whichever you prefer. Make sure that when you remove the stripper, try to remove it in the same direction as you put the cable in the groove so that you will not cut and expose the copper cable of the twisted pairs. Then pull carefully the outer jacket of the UTP so that the wires inside will be exposed. Next, try to separate the wire pairs so that it will be easier for us later to straighten them out. You will notice the star-shaped plastic at the middle and a thread-like material called the ripcord. The purpose of the star-shaped plastic is to prevent crosstalk between wire pairs. The purpose of ripcord is to help us easily rip or open the outer jacket of the UTP. In this cable termination, we will not be using all of those, so we need to remove it using a wire cutter. Next step is to straighten up all the wires so that it will be easy to be inserted inside the Rj45 connector later. So start untwisting the green pair. Put the white green on the left side and the solid green at the right side. Next is to untwist the blue pairs. Put the solid blue wire on the left side after the white green wire and put the white blue wire before the solid green wire. Next is to untwist the orange pair, putting the white-orange wire at the left side, followed by the solid orange wire. Orange pairs must be placed before the white-green wire. Next is to untwist the brown pair. Put the white-brown wire after the solid green wire, followed by the solid brown wire. So basically, we are following the 568B standard, which has the wire pattern, white-orange, orange, white-green, blue, white-blue, green, white-brown, and brown wire. Then one by one, try to straighten them out using your thumb and your index finger. Another way to straighten the cable is to hold them together and wiggle all of those cables from left to right. Make sure that the cable sequence is still the same. They should not interchange their positions. Once the cables are straightened out, we need to cut excess wires so that the wires will fit perfectly inside the Rj45 connector. We will measure the wires at least the size of our index finger. The excess wires can be cut using the cutter in our crimping tool. We are doing this because we do not want to expose the wire pairs because it might cause a problem in the future. If the wires are exposed, there is a tendency that it can be pulled out of the Rj45 connector. After cutting the excess wires, we will now insert the wires inside the connector. The copper of the Rj45 must be facing you when you insert the wires inside the Rj45 connector. And then slowly push the cables inside and make sure that a portion of the outer jacket of the cable is inside as well, so that when we crimp it, it will crimp and securely hold our UTP cable, thus lessening the chance of wires being removed from contact with the copper of the connector. And then physically check if you are able to see the wires in front of the Rj45 connector, and a portion of the outer jacket has reached the crimp portion of the Rj45 connector. Finally, get the crimping tool and crimp the Rj45 with the UTP cable in it. Once again, after crimping, try to have a final look at your work together with the other connector at the other end of the cable and compare them. Make sure that they do have the same color coding sequence. Then, we are now ready to test the cable using the cable tester. We will insert the Rj45 connectors to the two slots or ports assigned for Rj45 connectors. As you see on the cable tester, it has several output indicators. There is short, connected, non-parallel, and no connection. The numbers on top are indicators as well. It will show if all the wires are properly terminated by turning on the green LED. So let's try to test the cable. As I press this button, the test output will be displayed showing that I have terminated the cable correctly. So there it goes. The connector indicator is on. All the lights on top are on as well. So I can now use this cable to connect my device to the network. Thank you very much in watching this video, and if you have a chance to do this, please try it also. If you have any questions, you may post a comment.